Louder!
And it's time for the Gore N More podcast.
Gonna have a good time.
Gonna have a good time.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
We're going on now.
A ball break, walking hand in hand in the moonlight. We'll be the sweet soul there. I swear we'll never part.
We're going on now.
A ball break, running in the sand, feeling alright.
And what is going on, Gorehound? Welcome to the Gore N More podcast. I am your host, Wicker Ghost, the one, the only, Lord Scuba Cabra. But as Big Johnny D says, I do not bring this show in on my own. With me is the lovely Dark Lord of Knowledge himself, Mr. Chad Chrisman.
What's up, bitches?
And the Meat Mountain, the Killing Machine, Bobby Amone.
Hi, it's time for the Shaw is family, bitches.
Damn right. It is April 4th. Today, we have a hell of an episode for you guys. As you can see, first and foremost, Big Johnny D is not with us right now. He's fighting off a cold right now, so he gave us the reins and said, boyos, do it up. And baby boy, we are going to do it up for you.
And if we don't do it up, oh well.
Well, you know, let's see, let's see. I know he always comes up with like a really smart thing to call us. You know, he always has that little, you know, line he gives us before he introduces us. And I know I kind of flubbed that up, but let's do the chainsaw wielding
Leatherheads.
There you go. Chainsaw wielding Leatherheads. My boyos right here. So before we start talking about this, you know what time it is, boys, right? It is time for your Life. Chad Daddy, kick us off.
Well, you know, it was just a normal work week for me. You know, the end of the month rush happened. You know, busy here, busy there. This weekend was kind of low key. Didn't do much, but unfortunately, yesterday, as I was on a trip to Walmart, my battery light came on my car. I took it to Advanced Auto. They put it on the tester. They couldn't find anything wrong. I drove it, you know, around. Came back. The battery light was still on. I took it back. Looked at it. So I took the battery cover off and noticed that there is corrosion on the negative battery terminal. They refused to clean it for me. They, due to liability reasons, they can't. So I'm cleaning it. As I'm cleaning it, there's this wire that comes off the terminal that goes to the battery current sensor that corroded completely off.
Oh.
So I got to get that fixed. I've got to get that whole thing replaced. I had to call, and of course it's a dealer-exclusive part, so I had to call the dealership, and they can't get it all until the end of the week. The one wire will be there tomorrow, the other one 2 to 3 days later. So looks like I'm driving the wife's vehicle the rest of the week to work.
Lovely.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a gas hog, but, you know, at least we have that we can fall back on.
Yeah, true.
This is true.
Let's see. Aside from that, what else did I do this weekend? I was bored on Friday night, so I watched Ghostbusters 2. That's the first I've seen that in a long time. That was a fun revisit. And and I finally started Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh.
So that's a pretty good game. But, you know, and I realized this, and I spoke this to the wife. The thing that pisses me off about game sequels like that is you spend the first game leveling up, becoming a total badass, getting all this sweet equipment, then to start the sequel off and you're nothing. Level 1, low health, no equipment, no skills. Yeah. It's like, damn it, dude. You know, I had Aloy as a badass.
So it's you know, like Mass Effect. Mass Effect lets you carry your character over. I wish video games did that, especially when they're sequels. Stephanie said, bit of a gas hog, 13 miles a gallon. Oh, yeah, baby. That's that.
It's probably a little closer to 18. It's a Jeep, so I'm not sure.
Want to give a quick shout out to Heather, the Smiling Octopus, on Twitch. What's going on, girl? And also to Stan. What's going on, man? And Stephanie. Hi.
And my wife, yes.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
She doesn't usually get a chance to sit here and listen to the whole episode, so hopefully she gets to listen to it tonight.
Nice, hopefully.
But let's see. Crossed. Yeah, that's really about it. Oh, and I had to take the day off work because, you know, she needed her car, so I couldn't go to work.
Oh, darn.
I know.
Isn't that a bitch on a Monday?
I know. But I only got to sleep in a half an hour because I had to get up to take the kids to school. But, you know, enough about me. Bobby, how about you, brother?
Well, my week was a lot better. I worked 2 days last week, And Wednesday till yesterday, I was in Salem, Massachusetts with a few friends of mine.
Yes.
And yes, it was a great time. Did sightseeing around Salem, everything. We saw the witch houses. We did a witch dungeon tour. And I got to tell you, if any of us had to stay in one of these stalls, we wouldn't last long. They literally were like, this big and just enough tall. You were chained to the wall the whole time.
Wow.
You that's it. You were no such thing as a bathroom break. There was nothing of the nature. And if you were a family, you maybe had a stall about half the size of my room, and that's not very big.
Damn.
It might have even be a corner of my room. We went to Count Orlok's, which is a horror museum with props and some things from movies. They had live castings and all kinds of crazy shit. Good food. It was a good time. You name it. I couldn't name it all in 2 minutes, but it was an absolute fun time for 4 days. I recommend, if you haven't been there, go and enjoy it. Do a ghost tour. We didn't get a chance to do it, but that'll be the next time, which we will be planning. But that was the majority of my weekend, and it was fun. And then today, I put in my 2 weeks at my current job to start a new job in 2 weeks, which I'm happy to say I'll actually be able to stay on here longer. I'll actually be able to be up longer, and it's a better job in general. So it's been
Congratulations on that, buddy.
Thank you. It's been a very fast-paced but fun week. So I'm doing just fine. But I want to hear what this man up here, Mr. Scuba Capra, has to say.
Well, boys, like I say every week, I just worked and worked and worked. That's all I ever do is work. Let's see. What did I do last week? I saw Morbius, which don't believe the negative bullshit. I enjoyed that movie. It was a fun movie. Not the best, of course, but especially I think coming after No Way Home, people had these like really high expectations, but I mean, there's some cool little nods in there and stuff. And I generally enjoy Morbius as a comic book character, and I enjoyed the movie. I think Jared Leto did a good job. Nice. So I did that on Thursday. Friday, what did I do Friday? Friday, I went to a Middle Eastern restaurant here locally called the Ginger Cafe. I went with my girlfriend, and we had dinner. And, well, she had dinner. I didn't. I had her. So I misread our text messages to each other, and I thought she said she would see me after I got out of work. But apparently I misread it, and she was picking me up before I went to work to go eat, but I ate chicken nuggets instead. Oh. So, but I got to see her enjoy her native food, which, she had been longing for. Yes, the Ginger Cafe. Yes, that's what it's called. And so I did taste some baba ganoush for the first time. I just took a little taste. It was very interesting. I'm used to Mexican food. That's what I eat. You know what I mean? That's all I eat is Mexican food. And so she's trying to get me to eat other things. And I'm like, kind of stuck in my ways. So then Saturday I worked. Sunday I hung out with Grandma for a little bit. Went over there and she made me some enchiladas. So I was like, I'm there. I'm there.
Oh yeah.
You can't beat that old school recipe. And she's 90. She'll be 93 in June.
And she's still cooking? That's what I like to hear.
God bless your grandmother. God bless your grandmother.
Say a prayer for that.
She is one of the most strongest old ladies I've ever met in my life. That if I would allow her to still drive, she would drive. But I'm like, no. You don't need to drive anymore, Grandma. I got you. And then I came home and I did some laundry and I watched the rated version and the unrated version of this movie. And then I watched my work print version of Leatherface and prepared for this podcast.
I did the same thing, literally.
That was pretty much it, man. I mean, I went back to work today and just had the day went by really fast today. Like I was telling you boys earlier, the kids were like, "Sir, why are you so mad? Why are you so mad?" It wasn't that I was mad. I didn't have my glasses, so I was just kind of squinting all day because I really couldn't see shit. So they thought I was mad all day, and they just kind of left me alone, which is good because I got to get a lot of work done. So but funny. Now we're here, and are we ready to talk about this?
No,
we're not ready.
We're missing something.
We're missing something. You know, let me see. what could we be missing? I mean, I know we're missing Johnny, and we have Brody's video, we have Heather's video. What could we do to make this episode better?
I
I feel like
I
we
have
should-
an idea.
I have it. Yeah,
I think.
I have one too.
Is there somebody that we could add to this threesome to make it a foursome? Get the Fantastic Four.
Let me see what I
Someone
can do.
Someone who has experience.
You know what? I got this. You ready? Are you ready?
Let's do this.
I said, are you ready?
I'm
We're
ready.
ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you the man, the myth, the legend, Mick Strawn. Now, for
Welcome,
those
Mr. Strawn.
Sounds like you guys all had like a really interesting weekend.
what have you been up to, Mick?
What have I been up to? You know, it's really funny. I was in Ottawa. And I think the last thing I did on Saturday is I pinned the son of a bitch monster up against a tree with a car because it's amazing how many bad things you can do with a car. And then almost immediately, drove to the airport to get on my flight.
And
to head
now
back
you are
down
here
to
on the
Nashville,
Gore N More
Tennessee,
podcast.
and here I am.
Yeah, buddy. So for those of you, because I'm sure there's some people on here, because we do have a lot of new viewers and stuff, Mick actually worked on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 and a lot of your favorite horror films.
Did
Mick.
I mean I was a touchstone for these things. I don't know how that happened.
Don't ask questions.
You know what? I've seen a lot of people that were my peers that they worked on some really decent stuff, but I worked on all the shit that everybody remembers.
Yes. And it blew my mind because this is our first interaction. Like, I've never actually met you. I have you on Facebook. I've commented on some of your stuff. We're Facebook friends. And so I was like extremely nervous when John was like, hey, you're going to have to host tonight. And I'm like, but I just wanted a fangirl tonight. Like, I was just going to sit in awe. And no, that doesn't get to happen. So, I get to lead this bad boy tonight. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, let's do it. So give us a little bit about what you did on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
I was the production designer on it. Very few people know this, but actually that one was filmed in California, which is the
Yes.
only one that was filmed in
Yes.
California.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't think it looks that different from the other ones, right?
Well, so I'm from Texas. I live in Texas. And so when I was watching it, when they were at the gas station, I thought to myself, where would this be? Because it does look very similar to places you would see in the middle of nowhere, Texas.
Right.
So I feel that, you guys
But that
did
was
great.
built. Here's the
Oh,
thing.
was it?
That gas station, I built it from scratch.
Oh, shit. Bravo.
Shit.
The-
Bravo.
The bathroom. Now get this. The bathroom in it. When I was a kid, I used to drag along with my dad to auto parts stores, right?
Mhm.
And there was this one auto parts store that, and this is the '60s, mind you. So auto parts stores were not like advanced auto parts that. Hey, shut up. They weren't like glossy and beautiful. They were funky, right? You know, there was a layer of the funk. And so you would go into them, and the counter would look like the very definition of grease. Okay, and so one time I just said, Dad, I gotta go to the bathroom, right? And they're talking around, and they go back down the counter and and I go down and I open the door of the bathroom, and this is what I see. Over the years, they have taken every Playboy, Hustler, Penthouse, whatever was around at that time.
Yeah.
Right? And they had taken all the nude pictures, and they had like a little pot of glue, and a stack of magazines, and you could go in there and you could cut the pictures out any way you wanted and glue them up on the wall. And they were so thick that there was no indication of the wall anywhere.
Oh shit!
Oh my god!
And including the sink that had never been cleaned, and literally, I remember this day. Not only had it never been cleaned, it was so brown that the place where the sink, like it just dribbled all the time, right? Because of course nobody had ever fixed the fucking thing, right? It had that green. It was like green where it slid down, and the toilets were that way, and everything. And there was even that place, that had the hand mark next to the urinal, right?
Nice.
Yeah. The
mechanics for the greasy
black,
hand. Yep.
There was like a black dot of where you put your hand, right?
Yeah.
And so when this gas station comes up, I said, well, I have this gas station in mind for this. I know what this thing looks like. And I got to tell you, we poured money and hours and hours and hours, and we didn't even fucking get close.
It looks good on camera.
It does look, I'd say it really pulled off.
It did, but at the same time, I know what it really looked like. And the problem is we just didn't have years to do it. We didn't get anywhere near the level of filth or the level of filth.
So as we're watching this last night, because my girlfriend came over and watched it, and I actually, she had seen it before, but I made her watch it again. And the scene where he picks up the paper and looks through the hole, she said, if I ever owned a gas station, I would do that. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, why? She's like, I don't know, to see if like people are having sex in there. I'm like, you're fucking weird. Awesome.
That is
You're
hilarious.
awesome.
None of us,
You're
none of us
but you're
would.
weird.
Dirty gas station sex. Oh God.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes you just got to pull it off in the spot where you're just like, nobody does it here. We have to be these people.
So, in case you guys didn't know, we are talking about Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which was released January 12th, 1990. I was 8 years old when this movie came out.
I was still swimming around in
I.
another place.
So we're going to give the plot rundown right now. Two college students driving coast to coast are lured off the main highway and onto a deserted Texas road. Here they are stalked by the menacing Leatherface and his demented family, a bizarre cannibalistic clan with blood on their hands and feasts on their mind. The students' only chance for escape is a survivalist with enough firepower to blast Leatherface and the rest of the grisly predators to hell. A depraved shocker of intense terror from the gruesome beginning to the bloody finish.
Yeah.
Directed by Jeff Burr, From a Whisper to a Scream, Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings. Written by David J. Shaw, Critters 3 and 4, and The Crow. Produced by Robert Engelman, Shocker, and Mortal Kombat. Bobo, take it.
Kate Hodge from The Hidden 2, She-Wolf of London as Michelle. William Butler, The Ghoulies 2, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. We all know that movie. As Ryan. Kem Foray. I'm not even going to say what it's here, but do we really need to tell you what it is?
Come on.
He's as Benny. Tony Hudson, billed as Tom Hudson. Just one of the guys, Nessie and me as Sarah. Viggo Mortensen, Lord of the Rings trilogy, History of Violence, and a ton of other Hollywood movies. That's enough to enter. As Edward Tex Sawyer. Joe Unger, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Roadhouse, as Tinker Tink Sawyer. R.A. Mihailoff, Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings, Hatchet 2 as Leatherface. Mm-hmm. Tom Everett, Air Force One, Triple X as Alfredo Sawyer. And Jennifer Banco, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, Barbed Wire as Little Girl, who was not even old enough to get into these movies.
No, she wasn't.
She was creepy as hell, though.
Yeah, she did a really good job.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing on. Music by Jim Manzi, From a Whisper to a Scream, and Night of the Demons 2. And also Pat Regan, Tales from the Dark Side of the Movie, and Stepfather 2. Cinematography by James L. Carter, Spaced Invaders, Tuck Everlasting. Edited by Brent A. Schoenfeld, The Terror Within. I somehow made that to Terror Within. And A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Effects and makeup by K&B. We're all familiar with their work. They did Army of Darkness, From Dusk Till Dawn, many others. Distributed by New Line Cinema, runtime of more or less 85 minutes, MPAA rating of R, and there is an unrated version on the DVD as well. And work revision has been I couldn't find a budget, but I do know that it grossed $5.7 mil.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually ever mentioned the budget, at least in anything that I've read or heard on this movie. Mick,
who
can
was
you
the-
lighten on?
And who was the production designer again?
Some hippie. What was his name?
I think, that
Mick
guy
Strawn.
right there. Yeah.
That's right. I
This
know
guy.
that guy.
So, Mick, could you maybe put some light into the budget? Did you know anything on it?
I just, knowing what Robert was doing at that time. I mean, Bob Shea. I would suspect it was probably around 3.5 to 4 million, something like that. I mean, there wasn't anything unusually hard about it. I mean, complicated. I mean, we went up and built probably one of the more expensive things would have been we built everything for it. We built the house. We built the swamp. we built the little room that he is playing with the sea and say, yeah, no, we had a great time.
Nice.
Jeff Burr was like, I mean, typically Bob Shea has this way of he did this in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. He grabs a release date and then he aims a film at it. So it's not like he actually had a lot of time to make decisions. And the last thing he ever thinks about is the director. And so he I mean, we're literally I'm building everything because he wanted to make it in LA, and I go, okay, well, I'll do that. So I had the gas station being built and the house being built and everything going along, and we went one way and the other and the other and the other, and then eventually Jeff Burr took it. And I love Jeff. I mean, Jeff's a nut. I mean, if you ever talk to Jeff is one of those guys that has met everybody. He has stories about everybody in Hollywood. He knows more about films than any single human being should, and he's just super knowledgeable.
So I heard that for 2 days he was fired from the film.
That sounds about right. I think that he and Bob Shea, not Bob Shea so much as Bob Engelman, had problems with each other, and I think that I think it might have kind of had to do with Bob Engelman's ego, because I don't think that his ego was being served for the film. And Bob's a good friend of mine too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I have talked and been friends with all these guys, probably for as long as I haven't known them, for longer than I haven't known them. And I just think that maybe, that there was a certain, I don't think that Jeff Burr appreciated how late he was brought on. And I don't think that Bob appreciated the fact that he wanted to do things his way. So So nobody had that time to meld with each other at the beginning,
Right.
I was working up there desperately trying to get everything, ready to go and stuff. And it was interesting, It was absolutely something to do.
What would you say was your hardest task working on this film?
Guy, there were a couple of things that really surprised me, like that we had so much trouble with sound because of the rocks. Because we were having, you ever try and solve one problem and then cause yourself an equally bad other problem?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
When you're at the gas station, right? We had this problem that the dust was so fine in that area that like the camera crew, just standing around the camera crew would create a wave of dust that would go out over the gas station. You couldn't see anything that was going on. To solve that, we went out and got a bunch of gravel. and by bunches, I mean, it's not like we went out and got, I'm not the kind of guy that goes, well, hey, somebody go get us a couple bags of gravel. No, I got a fucking truck.
Shit.
Gravel!
Oh, there you go. Go big or go home.
So if you listen to it, and it's kind of weird because then immediately Jeff kind of like got a hold of that, and he says, I'm gonna make the locks longer in it because we can't get rid of it, so we're gonna lean into it, and you get this great crunching noise, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of little stuff like that. We had a lot of trouble with the truck. Everybody wanted to like do the truck up, and at the time, it wasn't like there was a lot of aftermarket stuff that you could do to a truck, right?
Yeah.
So literally, I said, I don't want you to use that stuff anyway, because I want everything to look like it was modified by somebody who said, "Hey, look, there's a road sign. I can cut that off and put two of those up underneath it, and it would be higher in the air."
Yeah.
Right. And so we kept jacking it up, and then I would go out to the shop of the guys that were working on it. It was a big bunch of auto people that just worked on films, right? And I said, "Yeah, that's all right, but I want it fucking big. I want it really tall." He goes, you want massive tires? I said, I don't know if I want massive tires. I just want it so absurdly tall. I want it so tall that it just doesn't make sense. I want it so tall that you have to put a steering wheel up on top of the other steering wheel. and I want it done that way. I don't want like the whole arm replaced with like the super one that would be the like some Bigfoot monster or something like that. I don't want it that way. I want it to look like shit, right? So there's this scene in it, and you've just watched it, and you tell me if the scene isn't in there, right? They're going down the road from the gas station to the house, right? And all of a sudden, they're being tailed by a truck that they see way over here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that truck comes right up to them, right? And Leatherface looks over, and then it goes like sideways out there, and it's super freaky how it does it, right?
Mm-hmm.
After that take, Jeff goes up to the guy and goes, "Yeah, you know what?" The driver goes, "Look, that's really good, I think." Of course, we didn't have assist, and we didn't have video assist, and like a lot of you saw everything in dailies like the day after, right? He says, "But I think that you were coming in too fast on it." He goes, "Is there a chance that you could go in a straight line?" The driver goes, "Are you kidding? That fucking was a straight line."
As you say that, if you go back and watch it, you could see the truck is moving. It's not going straight at all. Even when it's behind it, all you see is the body shaking.
It's shaking.
It's hilarious, man. It's like nobody wanted to have anything to do with that fucking thing. And basically what we had done is at some point they had like just virtually eliminated the shock system, right? So it was like bang, 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 bang. The guys who would get down, they would get out of that truck and they would walk around like John Wayne for about 10 minutes.
Ouch.
Well, boys, we'll get some more behind-the-scenes stuff from Mick, but right now, let's generally discuss this film.
Absolutely.
This is my second favorite Chainsaw film, and I take that with everything I just said. Like, because with Chainsaw 1, we got the grittiness. Nobody saw that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
I do like part 2. My problem is there is the overabundance of humor, but it works, and for me, sometimes it doesn't. And then I also felt like Leatherface was too fucking goofy.
It was
say that again.
It was a clown show.
Yeah, and no disrespect to the man who played him, but it's like if I want a killer, I want a killer who's a killer. There's not too much question. He might question it a little bit, but he knows in his head, like, I have to do this. This is what I want, so it just didn't, for me, fit. Then I saw this, and I'm like, and then I saw this, and I'm like, oh, he's angry. Jeff Burr said in an interview, who's like a rebellious teenager. I'm like, okay, that I could totally understand because
we did, yeah,
right. The child goes from, I'm kind of scared, learn. Now I'm pissed off at everybody, and it's like I hate you, but this girl's interesting. but I still hate you.
Yeah.
So for me, but I still like.
And we gave him a present.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, oh man, I would love to have a replica of that right here on
Wait
my
a minute.
mantle.
They do exist.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
They do, but you got to pay for them though. But yeah, this is my second favorite chainsaw, with the second one being third.
We actually tried, and just as a note, we actually they kept bringing me the saws, and I laid out and I was laying out with the props guy, and we were trying to base it all on a 2-foot long bar. You know what the bar is, right?
Yeah.
We were trying it on a 2-foot bar, and the saw's family, either it was too small to actually hit you in the face, right, on a 2-foot bar, or we could extend the letters and then make them thin and put it across it. But even then, it didn't feel right, you know. So we literally went out and bought the 3-foot bar. In order, literally, it was that long. And by the way, it was really tough to swing it around and make it look like.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I can imagine.
Like, all I could think was, damn, I bet you that thing is heavy as shit.
Yeah, horrible time with it because it was so blade heavy. And the thing is everything that he does with it is like kind of up in the air like this, right?
Yeah.
But we had to get the 3-foot bar because otherwise the words weren't instantly recognizable.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, I mean, it worked. And so as far as chainsaw movies, I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for part 2. I love part 1. This one is probably one of my favorites as well because we get that, like Bobby said, we get that aggressive Leatherface again. You know, I like this one better than part 2. I do. And it just, I don't have anything bad to say about this movie. And it's not just because you're on here with us and you worked on the film. I genuinely love this movie. I love the family dynamic. And that's what I always love about these, especially, Texas Chainsaw Massacre films.
Right? It is.
Yeah,
It really
yes,
is.
It is.
It
And
literally
so-
says there's the Saw's family, yeah.
So that's what kind of I was disappointed about the new one that came out is we really didn't get that family dynamic that all of the other films had. We at least had, two, one or two characters that, were there backing Leatherface or, leading him. And we didn't really have that in the new one. So if they ever do make a sequel, I to the new one, I hope we get that family dynamic again with some new characters because, I mean, we know that there's more Sawyers out there.
Is there now? I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Has anybody seen the most recent of the Leatherfaces?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Not Chainsaw Massacre, but the Leatherface. The one that was called Leatherface. Right?
No, I didn't
The
see that.
prequel?
Yeah. What'd you think of that? I had a lot of problems with it.
Yeah.
I felt like they tried
barn
to explain
didn't-
way too much.
The bar. Well, and along with explaining too much, it was like when you went in the barn. And I know that this might sound like a small thing, but the barn, when you went in there, we were really careful about like the things that they made that were like hanging and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like as soon as anybody got artsy, I'd come in and I'd throw it off the set.
Yeah.
Because I'd say, you know what, I want a fucking bone right here, and then I want blood on it, and then I want just a nail driven through it. That's I don't want it. I don't want anybody's interpretation of macrame version.
You wanted that crudeness.
It needed to be chaotic.
And here was the weird thing: is and it was really hard to avoid, right? Because you get a bunch of people who are in art department or prop makers and stuff like this, and they can't stop themselves for making something that looks at least a little bit pretty, right? And so, man, I just kept like taking these things and I'd take it and I'd smash it with a hammer for a while, and then I'd hand it back and go, there, hang that up, right? And you get all these like, right? And I go, look, dude, it's a killer, man.
Yeah, I mean, this family was crazy.
He's dumb. He's retarded. He's like the only thing he can actually do is kill with a chainsaw, right? So I mean, stop making it look like a boutique. And sure enough, when you got in the book, right up there on the new one, sure enough, it has all these things hanging that look like fucking pieces of macrame done with bone. I was like, fuck. I said, and I know how easy it is to fall into that trap. And I go, couldn't you just stop yourself and edited that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's with something like this, I just feel, especially like in the background, because, we get all those bones and crazy things in the first one. And, of course, in the sequels, you want to show something similar, but not the same. It just needs to be a mess. Nothing can look like it came from a store. It needs to be that you need to get in that mindset of the character that,
Well, I'll give you another concept. Another thing that was running through my mind at the time is that this is horror. The thing that I said about this film, I said horror is the thing that you don't see out of the corner of your eye, right? Yeah. So you can't hit yourself right in the eye with stuff, right? It's like stopping people from putting skeletons in chairs. It's like that's Halloween, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, you know what's really scary is when you come up to a front door porch and there's flies just buzzing all around, and you can hear the flies, and like half of the glass for the light bulb, half of that glass that the light bulb is sitting in is full of dead bugs, right? Yeah. See, that's scary. When you walked in that house, you didn't see guys sitting. You saw like there was a shelf that we had that was right there that was backlit that had a whole bunch of things in jars, and they were just literally things in jars. Mm-hmm. There was not like there wasn't a jar full of eyeballs or a couple of different spare appendix or something like that. But we put enough weird things in there so that you didn't know what it was.
It's funny you mention that, because one of my favorite parts in this movie is just a real quick shot of when he's coming back from the bathroom. He looks in the mirror, and there's almost like a dream catcher kind of thing, which is it's just decorated with dead lizards.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. I saw that, like, man, how would I feel if I was just walking out of the bathroom and saw that? Like, that would disturb me. I watch a lot of horror movies. I love horror movies, but something like that would disturb me.
But that's the thing though is that's kind of like the next level of horror. Is when you get up to understanding that horror and Halloween are two separate things.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yes, they have to. Even when you say with the jars and stuff, one scene that always sticks out is when Mama is sitting there and she picks up a jar.
Oh yeah, and she starts eating something out of the jar.
But the fact that we don't. But the fact that we don't know what it is makes
you don't know what it is.
Right? Yeah, so your mind,
it's like, what the fuck is she eating? I could imagine her going like this, going, "These are fermented eyeballs," and just I'm like, you don't really see that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's but things are like there are huge clues though, is when you walk through the house and you come around the corner and there's a really dirty commercial kitchen. Right? And you go, oh. Well, plus Bill Burr hanging upside down with a hammer next to it.
So, Chad, what give us your rundown of the flick? What do you
so
think?
this I mean, it's not my favorite. It is up there, and like you, I have a soft spot for 2 as well. But it's kind of hard to pick between 2 and 3 as far as which one is better, because that's what makes the Texas Chainsaw franchise so unique, is every movie is so completely different from the one that came before. Because you have the original, which has this almost grindhouse documentary feel. The second one's a dark comedy. This is the first one that's like a straight up slasher flick. the one after the Next Generation, I don't even know what to classify that is. It is all over the place.
That's
And
the
then
art house version. I will go with that. That is the art house version of this because there's no gore. There's no gore, and everything looks like it belongs where it should be, and it shouldn't look like it goes there.
And speaking of gore, I have to say I'm surprised because I completely forgot. It's been a really long time since I've seen this, but all the kills happen off screen.
Off screen,
Like
I know.
It cuts away. You see gore, but you don't see the actual kills.
That's now that was a fight with the MPAA at the time, though. And because we filmed everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have to tell you about one really funny thing that happened that just became shorthand for the film. If you were in the crew, there was a gag with a tree, right? Mm-hmm. And basically, what we did is we saw the kill from the other side of a tree,
mm-hmm.
right? And so the saw comes in like this, and basically goes through her, and then we see the saw come through the tree itself, right? Now they had set up the rig, and the way that they had done that is as K&B had made a rig that was like just the arms of the girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, the first time that they rigged it in dailies, the girl's one of the arms got a cable cut, and so this arm is going and this arm is going. And the saw comes through and the arm is still going, and it's like they couldn't even drop the arm. All I could do was so then they stop it, and now it's up like this, like doing this. And so for the rest of the film, everybody greeted each other like this.
I think that's in the deleted scenes documentary.
Oh, we lost him.
We just lost
DVD.
one.
It's just like
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. You just walk around and go,
By the way, Brody, Next Generation is not a masterpiece. I'm sorry. Get the hell out of here.
We're not. We're talking about part 3.
But it's what his comment says.
I know, but
all right, continue on. Sorry.
But no, I just think this is such a good movie, man.
It is.
With the kills happening off screen, I'm kind of bummed about that. I don't remember if I have it in the work print version or not. I want to say that the chainsaw scene is there.
It's there.
Yeah,
it is,
and you get to see it. So it's actually pretty. I mean,
well, you got to understand that the times were different. I mean, we were the concept of a VHS release was brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I remember going to video stores at that time, and it's like you didn't see any video stores that had everything. They had like maybe a couple 100 or 300 tapes at any given time, because it wasn't a thing yet, And in fact, usually they were renting you a VHS and the tape to go with it, right?
Yeah.
So the concept that it was going to live a long time was not necessarily prevalent in everybody's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just made the decision. So it's like you were basically trying to aim towards doing the best the worst you could. Let's say the best of the worst you could, and letting the MPAA and then tell you what you could get away with, and then fighting them on it all the way down the line.
Oh yeah,
and that fight went on for a year with that show.
Yeah, and I feel it kind of hurt the movie a bit, especially if you watch, the rated version. The unrated flows a lot better than the rated version does, and I feel like even the unrated version could have been just so much more.
It could have.
But you know what? You got to remember this did get I mean, we still showed more than the original.
Oh yeah, definitely. See,
Original
and that's what I love. Yeah, the original shows absolutely, and that's what I love about the progression of Leatherface. You get a little bit more. You get a little bit more, and then you get to 3, and you're like, "Oh shit, here we go!
Yeah.
Like it's fucking go time!" Like,
yeah, you know, the great thing is, I mean, I just recently saw the Terrifier, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, the scene I'm thinking of, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, see,
yeah,
that's what we wanted to do
yes,
30 years ago. 30
Yeah.
plus years.
and I mean, shit, that would have been fucking epic to pull off in those times. That would have been great.
I can just imagine people running out of the theater back in 1990 from something like that.
Oh hell yeah!
And that makes me wish that, because now 3 years later, New Line made Jason Goes to Hell. And
Right.
Adam Marcus has been noted saying, like, they wanted him to make the most violent movie he could.
By the way, that's Adam Marcus's version of The Hidden.
Yeah.
Which we did learn. Yeah.
I call him on it all the time. I go, Jesus Christ, man, we made that film 10 years before you.
But they actually said, make as violent of a movie as you can, because we got to give a rated version and an unrated version.
Yeah.
So it makes me wish that 3 years earlier, it's like, hey, why don't you guys go for broke here? And then, but
that's what I'm saying is we didn't know that an unrated version would have anywhere to go, right?
Right.
I mean, it's like it wasn't until it's funny, you put your finger on it right there. That was the difference. That was when all of a sudden you started to think about, oh, well, we can go both ways, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the consciousness, and you know what? By the time it was released, it was in the consciousness, but it was released a lot later than you think it was.
Yes,
it was released a lot later than it was made. I mean, I think that we were a year and a half, almost 2 years in fighting over it before we actually got it released. I think that in the end, Bob Shea wound up releasing a couple of other things, including his own awful film at that time. And did I say Bob Shea is a friend of mine?
You might have mentioned it
somewhere in the beginning, I believe.
Yeah. His own awful film.
You can say that.
Yes, of course, please.
But I mean, this movie is it's probably one of my favorites. And knowing that it wasn't filmed in Texas, which is fine. Leatherface is still a Texas boy, and it was one of the first horror movies that I was ever introduced to. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I just fell in love with the character. Like, there's just something. And for the longest time, I thought it was real until finally one day my dad decided to tell me, I was fucking with you. It's not real. I was terrified that this family was never caught. Yeah. I was terrified, and he let me believe that for the longest fucking time. But and this movie just brings that back, because you're like, fuck, man, Texas is so fucking big. I mean, this could
happen.
be. Yeah. There could be a gas station where they fucking have this weird ass fucking family serving fucking human body parts as barbecue, or watching you fucking take a piss and shit. It's just very creepy. These films are so creepy to me because, like I said, I live here, and when you're traveling across Texas, you see these things. And anytime I'm driving anywhere, if I'm driving across Texas to go see my mom, I'm like, hey, look, that looks like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh, look, Leatherface could be there. Oh, look, yep, Dad, look at that hitchhiker. He's probably going to want to take my picture, But, I mean, and this one, I love this movie so much because, like I said, it gives Leatherface that raw aggression again.
Yeah.
We get to see him just, but we do get that moment where he still has that child, like, when he's sitting there, what was he doing, spelling?
Right,
on the
right.
thing,
the speaker thing, yeah.
Yeah, on this.
To me, that was utter brilliance. I mean,
because you get to see that, while yes, he is this giant menacing monster, he still has this childlike brain.
And that's his biggest appeal there.
He is still getting his ass kicked by a CNC.
Yes, exactly. While he's out there kicking ass, the CNC is kicking his ass.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. We all have our challenges in life.
The funny thing about that scene is I got to pull the old joke on my wife and said, "Hey, why do cannibals not eat clowns?" She's like, "I don't know." I said, "Because they taste funny." That's just.
That's all well and good.
Oh,
Katie's cutting in. Snip, fucking snip. Well, howdy fucking doody there, gentlemen. It is I, your DKB, here back for another episode of Gore N More, and this week I'm here to talk to you about Leatherface 3. Now, Leatherface 3 to me is absolutely fucking exquisite. I love this film so much. It's definitely highly underrated, it's underappreciated, doesn't get the recognition it deserves, and it's definitely the one in the franchise that no one really ever speaks about. And I kind of feel that, to me, this is actually one of the strongest. So, in that sense, like, I mean, I've just got nothing but mad nostalgia with this film. Like, me and my brother would watch the absolute fuck out of this film, especially when it was unrated on VHS back in the day. Yeah, it was quite a bit of a rare thing to get unrated fucking horror films back down here in the day. So, you know, to see this, it was awesome. We loved it. Fucking absolutely a banger. So, moving on to Leatherface himself. I love the overall character design of Leatherface. He has a very physical, haunting, towering, intimidating persona about him in that sense. I mean, the way he's able to physically attack people, run after him, just with his grotesque fucking mask. I kind of wish that we actually got to see his face underneath. And I did read or hear somewhere that they were going to do that, but unfortunately we never got that until the remake. It's okay. I'm still happy with the way this was portrayed. Yeah, I love it. Oh, and the fucking chainsaw, I mean, it's fucking badass. I mean, that motherfucker was saw his family on it. Shit, you could take about 3 trees down with that bad boy once. What else? Now, the family themselves. I kind of think they actually stick together quite well in that character development sense of being this fucking crook in the head family. I mean, cannibalistic motherfuckers up in the hills, eating people. They played off extremely well. And the little girl with her fetus doll, I guess you could say, was done extremely well. She had a bit of a dark side to her. But yeah, I mean, I loved every single bit of that. Special mention to bloody Alfredo. Alfredo is my favourite in this film. I loved
Alfredo.
The screen with his presence. He's absolutely fucking hilarious. He just has no filter. He just doesn't give a fuck about anything. Yeah, it was fun. It was good to see him actually in this film, just to give that comedic relief to an extent. The violence, like I said, I could rave on all day about the violence in this film. Practical effects are fucking amazing. Production design was fantastic. Mick, if you're watching, kudos to you, brother. That was fantastic, especially the gas station. What else? I mean, yeah, I love everything about this film. It's absolutely fucking awesome. Kind of feel that we definitely got some of the... Well, I honestly wish we actually got to see some of the scenes that they put on the cutting room floor that they're just gone for good. Unfortunately, we're never ever going to get to see those, and it's a bit sad. So, yeah, I mean, fantastic film.
You can, Brody.
I can't rave on it.
No. There's even more.
So this week I'm going to give you a Gore N More score of a solid 4 for me.
Okay.
Excellent.
That's right. You fucking heard it. Solid 4.
Hell yeah.
So this is your DKB signing out. Looking forward to what you guys have to say about it, and yeah, I'll catch you next week. Cheers.
You know,
and I forgot to mention, this has a kick-ass fucking soundtrack.
Yeah, it does.
So I'm bumping it up to a 4.2.
You know, there is one way you can actually see like certain deleted scenes. The comics don't go with the movie; they go with movie and script. There's a lot that's in these that's not in the movies, and I'm like, that's way more graphic than we ever got.
Huh. Well, we got one more person to hear from. Let's kick this over.
Hi, Gore N More. This is your redhead of the dead, Heather, here to talk about Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. This was a great flick. This was very fun to watch. I watched it twice, and this podcast is going to be really great and really excited. Some of what I wanted to do is actually just kind of ask a couple questions because we are going to have somebody special to potentially answer them. But let me start off with saying the beginning, the mass grave, all the body parts, the goo and all that, the worms. I really liked how that was put together. Good practical effects there. In the bathroom at the gas station, I noticed the pieces of pictures of women on the wall, and it made me think of the movie Pieces. So just throwing that out there. I really want to watch that movie again. When they're leaving the gas station, the shotgun shot to the rear windshield, I liked how it was like kind of this like perfect circle, and then the whole rest of the windshield was pervasively, uniformly cracked, shattered. It looked really cool, and I was wondering how difficult it was to make that effect work. Really liked the car crash when they first get blown off the road. I thought that was cool looking. I also really liked all the traps set in the woods. I don't recall that being a common theme in other chainsaw movies before, and I thought that was a really cool concept. With the soundtrack, I was wondering if those were kind of like unknown bands that maybe somebody involved in the project knew and was able to work with, because the music was really good. But obviously it wasn't like Metallica or something. That was like the feel you were going for, was that hard rock sound, and it was really great. I have to mention one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Brody.
Alfredo says to Junior, "Well, looks like you got a present for a job you didn't finish. You lost the darkie, didn't you?" And then, the point being, Alfredo was my douche. How can you throw your brother's Walkman into the oven? That's like one of the few things that seems to bring him some kind of like peace. And how douchey is that?
Alfredo was
Tinker, favorite character. I love what they wrote for him in this script. Oh my god, it was just constantly hilarious and disturbing. And he was just great. I loved that character. Back to when they were leaving the gas station. I really liked that moment of Leatherface when he pulls the lid of the trunk off, and he's standing there in the road, and then he like slams it down. I don't know what it was, just that image.
Brutal.
I really
fucking
liked
brutal.
that. I could see that on a poster. I was wondering for Sally, the little girl's doll, if you recall what animal skull it was that you used for that, because I couldn't quite place it. I was curious about that. And by the way, that little girl's creepy as fuck. And I think that's pretty much it. I know I got to keep these videos semi-short. Oh, one last thing. Tex. At one point, I noticed his fingernails were painted. Mm-hmm. And then I noticed, he's wearing that women's apron, which I had noticed before, but I didn't think anything of it because it's covered in blood and whatever. But then I saw the fingernails, and now I'm wondering, is there something going on there? Is there like a cross-dressing type of deal going on with Tex? I was kind of curious about that. All right, well, I'm already longer than I normally am, so I will cut it off now.
That's what he said.
And I will say rating 4.3. Nice. All right, and this is your Redhead of the Dead saying I'll eat your brains later, and really excited to watch the rest of this podcast. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I love how Heather doesn't have like a little notebook. It's a giant fucking cube.
It's a giant sheet of fucking paper. Yeah.
It's like putting it's like drawing on a wall for your notes. Well, see, right here I was.
It's not paper. She has a hunk of drywall right in front of her.
I was known for that. I was known for picking up a piece of wood and like making a drawing on it really quick and handing it to somebody. Do this.
Funny thing, we've done that when we were rebuilding our house here. That's exactly what we did, was just making notes and drawings on scraps of wood. It's right there, yeah.
People still have pieces of stuff that I was drawing like on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 3, right? Yeah. This is me, yeah.
That's a keepsake right there.
Yeah, that's a big keepsake.
3 or 4 carpenters that still have them that sent them to me to be signed, and I had to send them back.
That's awesome.
So, she brought it to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to mention how you do that big hole, right? what they've done is they've taken and they've used Mylar. They've coated the window with Mylar and then cut that out of the Mylar, and then they take a piece of what's called a Bondo ball, and they take the Bondo ball and they use an air cannon and a Bondo ball. And they aim it up at it. It's from inside of the car.
Oh, okay.
And so then you can't get. The thing is then they blow it through the glass. It's tempered glass, so they'll put a bunch of steel pieces around the Bondo ball. And the thing that's nice is the Bondo ball, when it hits, it breaks up and it just looks like the glass going out, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And it leaves the small hole that the Bondo ball went out with, but then beans is the Mylar will hold the rest of the tempered glass in place. There are so many tricks that you learn just to deal with glass and different types of glass that you use. Candy glass, using mirrors with 50-50 and shaving pieces and going to tempered glass when you want the little tiny pieces going by, and it's just that is a huge set of learning how to do all these techniques. Glass is a big deal.
I can imagine. It's tricky.
Well, I know we have the man on here, but I know, Chad, you do have some behind the scenes stuff. So if you want to read them, and then if Mick wants to interject and add a little bit more, let's do that, baby.
Okay, I got to find some of the stuff that we haven't already touched on, which isn't easy. The film trailer was done before they even had a director and before production started.
The film trailer was done a year and a half before the film.
Wow.
And that's a year and a half before the film started. That was actually done while I was working on Freddy's Nightmares with Toby Hooper.
He did the first episode.
Yes, he did the first
Freddy's
episode.
Nightmares.
And I did it with
love
him.
That show so
Nice.
Toby Hooper was amazingly weird person.
He did give us some damn good films, though.
Yes.
Yeah. No. But everybody really appreciates my imitation of Toby Hooper. I went in for a meeting with him, and literally, it's I was doing that show, and you were very little time and stuff like that, and so I go into this room that Toby's in, and he's sitting here and he's smoking a cigar, and he's like, "So anyway, man, I want if we can get this, like this, 25 fucking minutes straight." I just sat there with the most confused look on my face. All I was just trying to do was just go, I tried to follow it for a while, but I'm only human. And then I just tuned it out and just sat there and was just kind of like going,
Yeah.
I had to watch that then. And that was, I swear to God, that was the longest meeting we had about the whole film. Every time he'd come up to me, he'd go,
Oh my God.
no idea what the fuck this is.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And he didn't look well either. So it was like, we used to call that the grip flu.
Oh God.
So
anyway.
What else do we have, Chad Daddy?
So Caroline Williams reprises her role as Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 in a cameo as a news reporter. Director Jeff Burr said he imagined Stretch becoming a reporter following the trauma she experienced in the second film in an attempt to hunt down Leatherface.
Yep, you just see her walking by real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Now,
but I still think that's cool that it ties it in.
Now,
Yeah,
did she?
yeah.
And did she originally have more of a role, or was it always just that little?
No,
quick?
she had no role at all.
So it was just that blink and you miss it kind of walk by.
Walk by,
Gotcha.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's that was a gimme. That was I know the director.
Oh, nice.
Never would have guessed.
I know
Never would have guessed. Tom Savini was offered the job of directing this film at some point.
Who?
Tom Savini.
Everybody in town was.
Yes.
Absolutely everybody. And as the time got closer and closer and closer, there was a guy, his name Jonathan. I can't think of his last name. But he was one of those guys that kept coming around in the rotation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, and I knew him, and I, basically they literally kind of like went through the entire list of everybody that had done Freddy's Nightmares, right? Because that was an up and comer group in general, and so they went through that whole thing, and then they started talking about Stepfather 2. We're gonna get the guy that did Stepfather 2, and
no.
Okay.
So Brody has a question,
and I love Jeff, and Jeff and I, we had this thing that he and I had the same casual dumpy look, and you have no idea how many times that. And Jim, the DP, was like, "We're out in the middle of summer, out in the hottest fucking wilds in the middle of nowhere, right? It's super skinny, got a little skinny tie and a vest and a like formal jacket and the whole fucking 9 yards, and like I swear to God, every time a PA would walk up to him, thinking that he was the director. Oh my God. And we both me and Jeff would just stand there and go, "Oh God." Hey, he's the director.
So Brody wants to know if you saw any concept art for Leatherface, and if you did, describe it to us.
I have to tell you the story about this. So here's my K&B story. So K&B wants me to come down and give a final okay on the face. Now, in reality, K&B was really, really, really busy at the time working on. Let's put it this way: I drove up and I couldn't park in their parking lot of their offices because there were buffalo everywhere. So I go in the office and there are buffalo. There are buffalo in the hallways. There's a buffalo in the bathroom. There's a fucking buffalo everywhere. There's a group of buffalo in the workshop. There's buffalo absolutely everywhere, and sitting wedged between a couple of buffalo is a guy working on this mask, right? And what he has is he has kind of a fully molded thing, and I looked at it and I just hated it. I mean, they had lips for the lips, they had like a pair of lips for the lips, and and like kind of eyelids and everything like that, and it was very molded. And so I said, hand me a pair of scissors, and I cut it all off. I cut the whole thing apart, and then I said, there, now sew that back together with the biggest, funkiest shit you can, and then call me back.
Holy shit.
Okay.
And that's why this one has the gaping holes instead of any kind of refinement. So
I like that. It looks more crude. It looks like something he's literally put together himself.
Yeah, something that he actually sewed together as opposed to just a whole face.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it,
and it works.
You know what I wanted it? I wanted it to almost look like people threw pieces of meat on him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like I said,
that's basically what it would have been. Yeah.
Which is really great because I don't know if anybody here has ever seen Thanksgiving.
Oh my God!
Yes. Fuck yes. God damn it, yes.
I swear to God, to me, I swear, I immediately got a flashback when the turkey was at the front door and he's wearing the skin of the. I was like, oh fuck, they are like totally mimicking us. That is so fucking cool. And I've talked to the director before. He's a really, really cool guy. And he was like, yeah, he says, that's literally what we were trying to do, is we were trying to imitate that look. And I go, there you go, it worked.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. What else we got, Chad Eddie?
Let's see. Really, a lot of this stuff, Mick has already mentioned. We've already talked about. There was originally supposed to be an unmasking scene, but they pitched that out. Here's an interesting one. The ranch where most of the filming was done is so close to the Six Flags Magic Kingdom amusement park that the director, Jeff Burr, swears you can hear screams from the roller coaster during some of the takes.
Literally, you could hear screaming. In fact, we got to the point that where we started to roll, on really busy, like when we were doing a weekend, it was so raucous that we would have to do it in because it was this one roller coaster that you could see over the mountain behind us, right? You just see this one, just the top of this one, and when they got up to the top of that, we could hear them right there, right? Yeah. So we wait until like one of them went and then roll. Roll sound quick.
Well, that sure didn't give you much time then.
Yeah, well,
I got a question for Mr. Mick. So in the comments back here, everybody was talking about the trailer, and I know that at least one of my heard, so I think this is a fact. For the trailer, they said Kane Hodder was playing Leatherface, but it said that Kane never did the trailer. So do you happen to know who did Leatherface in that trailer?
I don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, I've talked to Kane about it. I know that he wasn't there.
Okay.
I know it wasn't R.A. It's funny is like I just recently, just about maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago, there was a full moon tattoo con here in Nashville, and I just gotten here, right? And I get invited over there, and I do it. As I walked into the building, I hear this lunatic call from all the way across the building. God damn it, Mick Strawn! It's been 30 motherfucking years. That was R.A. over the floor. To walk in the door.
Oh my!
And then
awesome.
He's the nicest guy. He really is.
Oh, he's always cool to me. And then one more question on that subject. Sure. How much was Kane Leatherface in the movie? Because everybody's always debated this too.
I know that whenever he was doing a stunt thing, it was Kane, because R.A. wasn't a member of the stunt guild, right?
Okay.
So he could have done a minor stunt, but I don't think that he wanted to. So anytime that we're in, and it's hard to describe what a stunt is because stunts aren't always super apparent. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they're done right, they're not apparent at all.
yeah, definitely. But it was cool. It was cool how they got that. They actually got that face off though in Hatchet. When R.A. and Kane actually finally got that, like, because I was fucking.
So,
you got anything else, Chad Daddy?
This was the final movie to be given an X certificate by the MPAA before the rating was replaced with NC-17.
Oh. Yes, and that's exactly why it took a year and a half to get rid of that. And editing frame, and you know what you would do is you would just edit it. They would say, "Well, we need you to take this and this and this and this out," so you'd take out a frame. See if that would work.
Sometimes it does the trick, though.
Well, the thing is sometimes they wouldn't send the same guy over, so
so you could get away with it. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Anything else, Chad?
I'm looking. Like I said, there's still most of this, and Brody mentioned this in the comments. Yes, Peter Jackson was also one of the first choices for director.
Right.
Him, like Mick said, everybody had to.
Everybody could have directed this. Anybody.
Toby Hooper was actually originally going to be involved. He submitted a treatment to New Line, but bowed out of the projects due to scheduling conflicts concerning his film Spontaneous Combustion.
Yeah. Okay.
Right on.
I'm kind of interested to see what his treatment would have been like.
Yeah. But there was a certain period where Toby just kind of, to a certain extent, kind of rested on his laurels, and I mean, remember Poltergeist was right around this a little bit earlier, but around this time, and there were a lot of stories about him just being utterly worthless on that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that he was utterly worthless. I don't want to say that, but he was very hard to communicate with, man.
Yeah, we've all heard the rumors. We've all been, we've all widely believed that Spielberg directed more of Poltergeist than Toby did.
Yeah. You know, the late 80s was hard on a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put it that way.
How many times was this movie submitted to MPAA to even get somewhere?
Oh, I'm sure. You know, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I think it was every 2 weeks for ever.
In my notes it says like 11 times total.
Probably
So
about
that's
that.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's editing time in between every one of those, So it's not like your driving test.
Yeah.
It was like I say, it was a lot of fun. It was interesting. It was hot.
You could tell, definitely tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I to this day I don't know why I picked that color for the car.
mint green.
I think I just wanted to fuck with everybody,
I really like the color though. That's
I
the sad
God,
thing.
I just wanted to cut. You know what I literally did? I sat there and went, okay, I'm going to paint this car because the car color was like, that burgundy color, and I didn't want that. And I thought I'm just going to go for a color that I'd never seen before. And then I realized that I actually somehow or other hit the same color that the Cadillac was in the Hidden. It's like, how did I fucking do that? I mean, it subconsciously came up and hit me in the back of the head, right? Oh well. What are you gonna do, right?
Yep.
Oh, God.
All right, so what we got anything else, or is that about it?
That's about it. I think we've hit the nail on the head as far as behind the scenes stuff. Mick here has been an absolute gem to have.
So great to
wealth
have
of
the
knowledge.
source.
I
It's
know,
so great
it's
to
great.
have the source. Like, fucking great. Well, all right, let's get to our questions, my boys. What format was this watched on? What's up?
What was that before? What was all this before?
That was our behind the scenes.
Yeah, that was behind the scenes and general discussion.
And then general discussion, and then questions for Mick. This is questions about how we watched the film.
Mhm.
So, what format did you boys watch this on?
I got the Blu-ray DVDs.
Old school DVD.
Old school DVDs, right here.
I saw it in the screen room.
Mick was there.
Mick wins.
That's fair. That's fair.
and I was there.
He was there.
I
Mick
was
wins.
there.
I watched it with my eyes. Live.
I made it with my. He could safely say, "I made it with my hands."
You made it with your hands.
I also want to say, I love Mick's ability to recall everything about this because
Yes.
I have trouble remembering what I did last week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like during our slice of life, I'm like, what the fuck did we do? And then at the end of the show, I'm like, oh fuck, I just remembered I did something.
I have a weird way with recall. I cannot remember, what I had for breakfast, but I remember everything according to the project, right?
Yeah.
And I still remember everything according to the project. And part of it was because things change fast when you're a production designer. And if you ever sit down and if you start making a list of everything that you have to do, that's all you're going to do for the whole film is make a list of everything you have to do.
Yeah.
So you just have to commit it and build the film in your head. And when you do build the film in your head, then you have a tendency to remember it pretty much forever.
Yeah. Okay.
So one more question from Brody before we move on. One more Mick question. Brody says, how many blunts did you smoke with Viggo Mortensen, Mick?
Well, now this is really interesting. Is Viggo, at the time, Viggo and Kate and Bill all lived in the same apartment complex.
Oh shit.
Oh.
And what they would do is they would drive down in Bill's Bill had like a little Nissan, and they would drive back down in the Nissan, and they were always talking about what it was like to like stop at a 7-Eleven on the way in to get coffee, right? You know, because at the end of the day, they were all just, you know, blood. I mean, particularly Kate. I mean, you got to think about Kate's role in this. Is she was like black with blood from head to toe, right? Yeah. You know, and they would always walk in, and they would laugh about. I've talked to them since many times, you know, about going to 7-Eleven and how much nobody would react to them. You know, because it's Hollywood. Yeah. There's two things going on here. Either they're a bunch of actors, or they're trouble and you don't want to talk to them. Either way, you just don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, douche of the film.
Oh God.
I'm gonna go
Tex.
with Fredo.
Tex. I'm going with Tex.
The douche of the film?
Yeah.
On screen, not behind the scenes. On screen.
I was about to say, I was gonna say he's either gonna say two people he mentioned already.
You can see the gears grinding. He had something.
Sorry about that. No, it's Tex. Tex was that guy, you know.
Yeah, I think I gotta agree with that. Yeah,
because he lured them in.
He did.
Yeah, he did. He did his job very well at that. Also, you know. Favorite kill.
Oh, the girl to the tree getting the saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, the girl through the tree. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Agreed. Chad, same.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Best scene.
Okay. After he kills the girl to the tree, you see Leatherface's feet and them just kind of moving forward like he's stalking them. I love that scene because the music that goes with it is so friggin' dark. Like, yeah.
I have an odd favorite scene.
All right.
Alfredo dropping the bodies off in the water, right?
Yes.
And he walks in and he's dragging.
I love that. Just the way he's muttering to himself,
muttering to himself,
singing
and
to himself.
Look at the. I mean, we built that swamp, right?
Yeah.
We had to keep chasing snakes out of it. We built this little swamp, and it was cement. I mean, we had a gunite and the whole thing, and then we put this great Texas moss all over the place. You know, the weird thing about Texas is, and I didn't learn this until later, but I kept looking at pictures of moss, right? I mean, you know, because that's what we do is we look at pictures and I got to make it look like Texas. And it always looked like the moss just fucking was thrown into the trees, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the weird ass thing about it. I went through Texas about 10 years ago. and the first thing I did was I looked at a tree that had the fucking moss in it, and I thought, it looks like they fucking just throw it down there. Yep. There's no logic. There is no logic to it whatsoever. And then now I live in the South, and I see that moss everywhere, and I just keep asking myself this: why is that there? Why is there just a fucking strand of that? And strands just through this fucking tree, and there's no logic. It's not like they're tied into the roots or they're tied into the leaves. It's fucking there. It's like God just throws that shit around.
That's exactly what it's.
Sorry, that's specifically a production designer's nightmare right there. We gotta know why, and there is no why to it at all. But I just love him muttering, and it's just something about it to me that just kind of lands the film, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you get to really see the crazy, you know, especially when he like kisses the severed head. Like, yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna go with when Leatherface just rips the fucking trunk off of that fucking car, because you get to see how fucking powerful this dude is. He's got that strength. I'm not gonna say the word, but he's got that R word strength, and he just fucking rips that trunk off, and you're like, oh shit, like, holy
you know
shit.
what? It makes me question: how'd you get your fucking fingers in that?
Yeah, well, We'll never know, but it
I
happened.
don't know if I want
that's
to.
My
But if
favorite.
he's
scene.
going to finger something, never mind. Continue forward.
Poor stretch
think,
in part two.
Oh,
I think that I got to pick for my favorite scene is the introduction of Ken Foree's character and his interaction with those two, and he's helping them, just because it gave my favorite line of the whole movie of when he's telling him, what happened, and he said, "There's two dudes there's a bunch of guys chasing us. And he has a chainsaw." And he said, "You saw what now?"
you saw.
And he said that, and I just started giggling, and then I just started full blown laughing, and I could not stop laughing at this. I looked at my wife and I don't know why, I just cannot stop laughing at that line. So that was my favorite part right there.
All right. Did the opening scene hook you in?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. The whole opening crawl, explaining and everything. Yeah.
The bodies on the side of the road down in the. It's funny. We dug them. We put the gore in there. It just left it to the camera department, and they just did such a great job of it.
Yeah.
It's so utterly
disgusting.
Utterly convincing.
It is.
It's just
great practical effects all the way around.
Really, it is.
So good.
I mean, and it's not a challenging practical effect. Basically there was a lot of oatmeal used, and but it's just so. It's done in such a stark way. It's like almost pure black and white. You can hardly even it's desaturated, and I just. It just starts you out with your stomach turning,
It does. It really does.
It makes it look like, and it sounds like that's been sitting caking in there. And when you hear the plot, it's like, oh God, like that's been sitting there for how long,
Right. I appreciated that. Sometimes you dig a hole and you can just pour talent into it.
Yeah, just fucking. There you go.
Literally and figuratively. Yep.
Most attractive character.
Oh, Kate Hodge.
Kate Hodge. To me, I gotta tell you. To me, Kate Hodge is just one of the. From the time, was just one of the best looking, best acting final girls ever.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean,
oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that.
What's really weird about it is she doesn't come up on anybody's list of the best final girls. And to me, I always feel I keep seeing those kind of lists and stuff, and she's not on it. And the first thing I do is I send a strongly worded email.
and probably the sad part about that is probably only because the film just didn't do good.
Yeah,
but which and that's unfortunate because she's probably one of the few that fought back, had to deal with a lot of shit,
and she was
so we're watching it last night, right? And my girlfriend goes, when she's pulling her hands off, she goes, "Oh my God, she just un-Jesus herself." I was like,
"It's a reverse Jesus."
I was like, "I can't with you. I can't with you."
No,
so
I thought she was incredible through the whole thing.
She was good. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I thought I liked Bill too, but Bill had a kind of a, he had a very Bill, he looked like he does in every role. He's the ineffectual one that gets killed quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, but Kate was something special. She was.
Did the score? Did it set the mood?
Okay, I'm going with this because Mick, go ahead, Mick.
Let me give you something quick.
Mm-hmm.
There is a tie-in to this to other New Line Cinema films, and I think that if you understand it, you will understand some. There's a cat by the name of Kevin Benson, and Kevin Benson was one of the first music supervisors to come in and say, no, we're not going to do fake rock. We're not going to do fake shit. We're going to bring real rock musicians that are current. And he did it on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Hidden, 4, this weird little film that he started out on called Quiet Cool. all of a sudden New Line Cinema became known to have like the great music, right? Yeah. And it was because of this one guy, Kevin Benson, that just pulled all that together. And so if you really enjoyed the music to it and you think it was way a cut above everybody else, it's his fault.
Yeah. He did a damn good job.
Yes, he did.
And even not even just talking about the songs, Jim Manzi, I have his soundtrack on CD. You can only find it a handful of places. I feel it's one of the best horror movie soundtracks, along with it's a soundtrack, but it's a soundtrack that uses sound like the original Chainsaw.
Yeah.
So like he's got a good mix of the kind of stuff, and then you hear the clicking stuff. That like easily one of the best horror movie soundtracks. And yes, with the thrash metal and everything, part of the soundtrack is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wrath, Last Rocket, you could go down the list. They all are great bands.
Yeah. And he was the first one that brought that because before that, even John Carpenter noticed how bad the music was that the studios would bring out, because they would bring out their generic bands and their generic rock and roll and this and that. And so he got pissed off and went in and did it himself, right? And
yeah, he did that on The Mouth of Madness.
He did. I mean, he was the first one that started doing that, because he was going to let them fuck with music. And then then Kevin Benson came in, and then it started to become a thing by the time you get into the mid-90s. I want my little star with the little da 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 da. The more you know.
That'd be fucking great if we had that.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to get that on there.
We'll have to get it on there somehow.
All right, boys. Best song.
Leatherface.
Last Rocket.
I love that song. That's on a frequent rotation on my iPod. And the funny thing is, okay, so the year this came out, I was a freshman. No, the year after, I was a freshman in high school, and every year the freshmen would have a trip to Washington, D.C. And while we're at Washington, D.C., we go to this huge mall and everybody else is buying. And what do I buy? I buy the frickin' soundtrack to Leatherface on cassette tape and listen to it so many times on that trip. I still have it. It's in my garage.
Unfortunately, my musical taste would always run to Grateful Dead. So,
yeah.
And
Nothing wrong with Grateful Dead.
So I would go, I really like Sacramento Expo in 1974. Only the bootlegs. See what I'm saying?
Just the bootleg stuff. Yeah.
Just the bootlegs. In fact, I have a great story about every show that I would do. We would go out and we would buy a VW van, and we would drive that van to every show. If there was a tour on the West Coast, every weekend we would be at that.
That's
we would
great.
Be watching the Dead, right? And so we saw them I think that we saw them at the Forum. We saw them in Long Beach. We saw them in Berkeley, and then we saw them in Sacramento at the Expo Center. And we saw them on Sunday. We were driving back down to set. The van broke down, which it did constantly. It was kind of part of the whole charm of it, right?
Yeah.
And I was really good at fixing it, so I go out and I fix it, and we get it, and we drive. Now here's the thing. Sunday, my art director got a hold of some mushrooms, right?
Oh.
But he took them pretty late in the show, and they didn't even come on. He says, "Oh, those are terrible mushrooms. They didn't even come on during the show." And I go, "Well, you took them pretty late, but So anyway, so literally, we're driving onto the set at 8:00 in the morning, which is super late for me, right? And Brad hadn't said anything for the last 5 hours or so on the way down, right? And I'm like, that's really weird, because I look over there and he's like. Scenery going by like this, and I'm like, I wonder what that's all about, right? So We pull up onto the set. Everybody, we get out of the van. The director's standing there. The DP's right next to him. It's like, good morning. Hey, good morning. Good morning. How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? And Brad is standing here like this, and everybody turns to Brad because it's his turn to say good morning. Brad doesn't say anything. He just kind of looks straight ahead, and then all of a sudden he does this. He looks up, and he goes, and he just stands. And I swear to God, you just have one of those moments where everybody is trying. I mean, not Brad, but the three of us are just trying to not look at each other's eyes, like, oh, yeah, have a good day, guys.
Oh shit!
So the mushrooms did hit.
And they hit
At the wrong time.
A little late, but they did hit.
That's great.
Okay, next question. Favorite character of this film?
Alfredo.
Ken Ferrari.
I loved Alfredo.
It had to be Alfredo. Really.
It was such a trip.
I like Tinkerer. I mean, he was. I guess because I build the stuff for my paranormal group, and I'm always trying to think outside the box. Like, what could I use to build this or build that? So I just kind of resonated with that character.
I'm the same with Alfredo, because anytime, if I'm at work or something, I get really pissed off. I mutter to myself like that. Yep.
Tink is my second favorite, but I agree with Scuba because I tinker with shit all the time.
All the damn time.
I got an RC car apart in the damn basement, and I'm like, ooh, I'll get this all together one day, and it's trying to figure this shit out real quick.
And he never will.
Oh bullshit! I got it back together.
Who was your favorite character in this film, Mick?
Alfredo. It's got to be.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I mean, he's just so fucking weird. Yeah.
Was it scary?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna say yes because the girlfriend did jump while watching it. So I'm and I usually say maybe when I was younger, but no, this one is scary because the jump scares got me too. So, does it hold up today?
Yes.
Yes.
Not too long ago, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. It's funny. It seems like of its age, but still really good. Like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, I feel the same way about. They are what they were, but they're excellent examples of a more primary feel. Everything very practical. Everything, right there. The weird thing is this and don't get me wrong, I totally love modern technology. I love CGI, but it has to be in the right place, and it has to be supported by everything. It's just a tool.
Yes.
It's just a tool in the box, and we didn't. The best tool that we had, or the biggest tool that we had, was blue screen. Right? What I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the thing is it was a weak tool, and so to support it, we had all these great practical effects. That was if you had to go that far, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays it's there. Unfortunately, it's used as a crutch a lot of times, and it is what I call the producer's solution, because anything that's done CGI, the producers can change later on to suit their own needs, and I don't like that. But that visceral feel, we didn't know at the time that we did 3 and 4 and even Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is that we were right on the cusp of everything changing, and and then you go to 5 years later, everybody's trying something different all the time, just maybe not that successfully, and then another 7-8 years down the line, all of a sudden the digital revolution just explodes, right?
Yeah.
I wrote a book about Nightmare on Elm Street 4 called Behind the Screams.
Yes.
And it chronicles one of the last of where everything was practical, and I think that it was of its time, and it's a beautiful film. I mean, it does what it's supposed to.
All right, boys. How was the acting?
It was very good.
Great.
Very
good. Very
There's
stronger than a lot. I mean, definitely stronger than a lot. All the way through the crew, all the way through the cast. I mean, just absolutely right down the line. Just characters. I mean, real characterizations.
There's not a bad performance.
Right. There is not fodder. There's no fodder in this film.
Yeah.
This is probably the best acting in the entire franchise in this film right here.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Because you know why? There's people that are pushed to limits, Kate Hodge, and you could see someone eventually you get to a fed up point, or just like, this is your fight or flight. Well, she fought and went.
Yep.
I think in real life she was getting pretty fed up too. Funny thing to be her on that film, I'll tell you.
The funny thing though is the other girl in the film. I don't remember. Yeah. So like every other time I saw the movie and saw how she was, I'm like, is there something wrong with this girl? Is she like part of the family and inbred or something? And it just occurred to me today, it's like, this girl has severe PTSD because of what she just went through. Like, it never hit me then until just today when I watched it for the first time.
She saw some shit and she was living through it. And I mean, and she did great too.
Yeah, she did amazing.
From somebody who has actually suffered PTSD, like, I could feel like her emotion through the screen. I was like, fuck. Like, she just saw everybody she was with die. And so she's just like, fuck.
Even the armadillo was pretty convincing, right?
Oh, yeah. The armadillo was probably the most convincing death.
Best, the armadillo.
Did you guys like the cinematography?
Yes.
Beautifully lit. The blues, the wash. It gave you the sense of claustrophobic, yet in an open space.
Yes.
Really did.
That's fair. That is fair. Did you like the premise?
It's Texas Chainsaw.
No, wait a minute. There are two premises to this movie.
Okay, go on.
The one we get doesn't make sense. Ken Furray got chainsawed in the head. I don't know who you are. You're not surviving that. There's no... that's going further. The original ending, I like because Tink came back. Or not Tink. Viggo Mortensen came back burnt charred. Mm-hmm. He got smacked with a trap. And then the whole thing with Leatherface and Kate Hodge, that happens. At the end of that, she sees a cop car. It pulls up.
Yeah.
And it's got the little girl in there.
Yep. Right.
To me, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say I like the fact that Leatherface comes back at the end, yes, but that ending makes more sense. Like, that to me was a much more final, and as if this is really going to end well, even if it does.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that's almost like the exact same ending we got with House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah. With Captain Spaulding. Yep.
So, but I say yes and no.
I had read somewhere that in that scene it was supposed to be extended, or I don't know if they even filmed it or not. That where the cop picks her up, and when they get back to the station, she finds out that that everybody's in on it. Like, the whole town was fucking in on it.
We never filmed that.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I think her getting in the car is plenty enough.
Yeah.
I was the one that helped with a very small unit film the other ending under protest. So there you go.
Yeah. All right, boys. We are on to our 4 R's. Recycle.
Okay, before that, Brody asked, "Is that Leatherface's daughter? Is the blonde girl his daughter?" I got the impression that it was because of what Mama says that Junior makes pretty babies.
That's above my pay grade.
That's a fair answer.
Sorry, there are things that are above my pay grade.
We'll just say yes then. Yes, it was. In my mind, it was. So.
There you go.
Or it's how, she could have been a baby that, they killed the parents and just Mama wanted to keep the baby, and that
or it's one of Tank or Tex's daughters.
Maybe. Who knows? But all right, recycle, rewind, remake, or reboot. Rewind all day, every day.
Oh, yes.
Rewind. Yeah, rewind.
All right, now, here comes the big part. Let's rate this out of 5. Chad Daddy.
I'm going to give it 4 1/4, I think that's a very fair score. It's a very fun movie. I really enjoy it.
All right, Mick?
I think I love the production design.
Well, it's superb.
Genius.
Yeah, you know what?
It's a chef's kiss.
Funny, it's funny that you asked the question about the acting, and I thought it was direct. I'm going to have to go 4.3 because I really, there's just nothing wrong with this film.
Yep. All right, Bobo.
I'm gonna agree with Mick. A 4.3. Like, there is nothing wrong with it. The only problem we got was the MPAA.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't fight something on it that like that. So
yeah,
had we gotten all the gore, yeah, it would be it'd be a little higher. But a 4.3 is very fair. There's no cut corners, acting, cinematography. It's all great. So yeah, 4.3 1,000,000%.
All right. I'm going to go a little bit higher than that because Leatherface is a Texas boy, as am I. So I'm going to give this film a 4.5.
Not bad, considering it wasn't shot in Texas.
Oh, man.
Considering it wasn't shot in Texas, but doesn't matter. It's still in the name.
Oh, man, you're going to make me do math now.
You have to do math.
0.25 plus 4.
I can't make it easy on you, Chad Daddy. I can't make it easy on you.
3 plus 4.5. What was Brody's score? Brody was what, 4.2?
Yeah.
I think you're averaging about 4.4.
And what was Heather's again? Was it 4.2 or 4.
I think she said 4.2.
She said 4.3.
4.3? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gives us a score of 4.3.
Nice. Very well deserved.
Yeah.
All right, Chad Daddy, what do we have coming up next week, baby?
Well, next week we are going back to Mr. Argento. We are reviewing Phenomena.
Ooh, I get to watch this movie again.
I haven't seen this in a while. It'll be fun. Nice early Jennifer Connelly film. It's a very fun movie, if I remember correctly.
The stabby monkey.
It does.
Yes. All right. Do we have any nerd news? I personally don't have anything.
I didn't have anything, but let me see. Although I do want to mention, for those of you who've been following all this time, is Bloody Disgusting has done it once again. Last week we reviewed Critters, and within 36 hours or 48 hours, they had a whole retrospective of Critters. How and why does this keep happening?
Just get us to work for you. If you're just going to follow,
we will gladly work with Bloody Disgusting. I'm on this. I have the app. I'm on it constantly. Several times a day. We're fans. Seems like they're fans of ours. I don't know. Maybe
it's just coincidence.
That's too many coincidences.
Not. It was the mayor of Critters too.
What?
What was that?
I said I was the mayor in Critters too.
Really?
Oh shit!
No shit!
Right.
They designed and built the town. Come on.
So good fucking job on that, because after I watched Critters 2 the other day, I was like, "Ooh, I want to go there. I want to see if this town really exists." And God damn it, Mick, it does not exist. I wanted to eat at the Hungry Heifer. God damn it!
And I personally have always liked Critters 2 more than the first one. So
there you go.
It's fun. It's such a fun movie.
They both are. Yeah.
So when you guys talk about Critters later on, you have me come in. I'll annoy you, and I get to know you all over again.
That'd be great.
Critters.
So we can do that.
We got.
We
some
do
spots,
have some. We do.
But I was just looking at some other. Nothing really too great.
Yeah, nothing to talk. Nothing to brag about or anything. So. Well, then let's end this baby. Chad Daddy, kick it off. Then we'll kick it to Mick, and then
this is your Dark Lord of Knowledge, your Chad Daddy, saying, first off, thank you, Mr. Mick Strawn, for being on here today. It was an absolute pleasure having you on here. We loved it. And so I will see you guys next week for Phenomena.
Well, guys, it's been a blast. A little trip down memory lane. I had a fun time.
We loved having you. It was great.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. This is your Killing Machine, Bobby Amone, saying once again, Mick, thank you for coming on. Again, that trip down memory lane. It brought us a lot of home things to one of our favorite movies.
Mhm.
Trip down memory lane with a chainsaw.
With a fucking chainsaw.
With one of the biggest fucking chainsaws on screen
Really,
Ever.
more than it should have been by every definition.
But it worked out great.
There you
So
go.
it was wonderful. And I'll catch you guys next week as well. Phenomena.
And as always, I am your host with the ghost, the Lord. Wait, goddamn it! I fucked up my shit. See, goddamn it. As always, I'm your host with the
Lean
ghost.
into it.
I am your host with the ghost, the Duke of the Dead, the Prince of the Paranormal, the Ghost Daddy himself, Lord Scuba Cabra, saying, "See you next week." And remember, cereal is just cold soup.
Ooh.